Hey, Bulls and Bears, welcome back. We're back with another dose of economic reality. We're going to lay it out for you. We're going to tell you what's happening with the economy in very simple and layman's terms so we can all understand what's happening and what is going on. So, what is going on? Well, I've got a lot of news to get into today. First of all, this economic collapse is not going to just stop or reverse all the debt that people are carrying right now. It's not going to be erased. It's not going to be paid down. The consumers are not going to be able to pay down their debt. In fact, people are talking about how the national debt can never be repaid. Think about this. There's about $18 trillion in deposits at U.S. banks right now. That's actually been dropping. Maybe even a drop since I last looked it up here. Maybe a lot lower. But 18 trillion, just use that number here because that's what it was, just recently in deposits. How much people have in their deposit, savings account, checking accounts, etc. The national debt's 30-something trillion, 31, almost 32 trillion. But yet we're supposed to pay that off somehow. And that doesn't even add up. So we don't, even if you confiscated everyone's wealth, you couldn't pay off the national debt. So we live in a country here, the United States, that's got a spending problem. Yet they're the ones that give us credit scores. Think about that. So we're being rated on our credit worthiness. We're given these scores from an entity that has $30+ trillion in debt. There's actually a meme about that. Let me put that up here right now. So it's ridiculous what's going on. It's insane. The bankers that should not be make all the wrong moves at all the wrong times, and they cause these boom and bust cycles. And now it looks like we're going into a bust cycle. Now, there was a lot of people worried about inflation and rising prices and hyperinflation because of all the money printing. But what's happening right now with the banks is we're seeing some pretty severe credit contraction. That means banks are being much more strict on their lending. So that could cause deflation and falling asset prices of banks that stop lending. That's a deflationary force. We often talk here about how basically all of the banks here in the U.S. are insolvent, meaning if everyone went to pull their money out at the same time, the bank wouldn't survive because they haven't put enough money away, or they don't have it in reserves to be able to cover all the withdrawals all at once. So as long as nobody withdraws their money at once, then the banks can stay operational. But look what's happening. This is bad. I'm going to bring up this chart here. Monthly change in bank deposits here, and this is just recently. The 2023 banking crisis, worse than at any point in history, and this goes back to the early 70s. We saw the surge there in 2020, how everything shut down. People got enhanced unemployment benefits. People got stimulus checks. People didn't have to pay their rent, their mortgages. So we saw the surge in 2020, but now look what happens, right? So this is basically painting the picture that for every action, there's a reaction. So we had the action in 2020 with the surge in money. Now I've got the opposite reaction and to the downside. Look at that. That is a mega drop. So this could really cause a lot more banks to fail. Now, what many of you have noticed is that this banking crisis is emerging about the same time as the bankers that should not be are going to bring out their scam coin. The scam coin. I don't think anyone here thinks that the scam coin that's coming out here is going to be the solution to anything. And we're talking about the Fed coin coming out. So they're going to say, oh, we have the solution. So the same people that didn't see all this mess coming are going to say, oh, now we have the solution. But I think everyone here is smarter than that. You're not stupid enough to believe that they're actually going to have a successful solution, right? We know that the only solution at the end of the day is going to be sound money. And what's that going to be? It's going to be a currency backed by hard assets, mainly precious metals, gold and silver. That means huge upside potential for gold and silver coming down the pike here. In fact, today, gold over $2,039 as I speak, as I'm recording this here on Tuesday night, April 4th, 2023. Silver, another nearly a 5% gain, up over $25 now. Remember, we saw the silver squeeze. Silver ran up to almost $30. Was that a year and a half ago now? And people are looking for safe haven assets. But when the manipulation ends, that's when you're really going to see the price surge and take off. And I believe easily double digits for silver, or triple digits rather, not double, triple digits. So $100 plus, but I believe ultimately it's going to be in the thousands of dollars. Now, people say, well, you're saying deflation is going to happen because if we see a lot of banks fail, that's going to be deflationary. Well, a couple forces are going to be inflationary for the precious metal. One is you have the flight to safety, which is definitely precious metals. But two, if you have the end of the manipulation, that's also going to be a upward price pressure on precious metals, especially silver, in my opinion. While you could see deflation in other areas, if lending gets very tight, you could see falling prices for everything that people need to borrow money for, specifically real estate and automobiles. And look what's happening with GM. I mean, people think that there's nothing wrong, that the crisis has been solved, that there's not going to be any economic downturn. GM avoids laying off 5,000 salaried workers by doing buyouts. So why would they be looking to even cut their staff, this drastically at a time where there's supposedly a vehicle shortage? We need more vehicles. Prices are still high, and we're told that it's because there's not enough vehicles out there for sale, but too many buyers. So I think they see this credit crunch and this bank crisis as just beginning. Otherwise, why would we see all these layoffs? We have McDonald's corporate staff being laid off. So obviously, some of the biggest corporations in the world see the writing on the wall and where this economy is headed. Now, let's talk about an article put out here by Charles Hugh Smith, and this is over at his blog here. And it's basically how we're going to have labor shortages and high unemployment at the same time. Unemployment is going to surge once this crisis continues to evolve here. But the reason there's still going to be labor shortages is because, as he points out, there's not enough people with the right type of degrees or the right type of education to fill a lot of these jobs. There's a massive mismatch between the skills available to hire the young worker and the skills and experience needed to rebuild the material, real-world foundation of the U.S. economy. Here's an example. It's well known, but apparently not worth worrying about, that the average age of the U.S. farmer is pushing 60 years old. Nobody is going to be left to grow our food. Just one of many examples. So most of this is physical labor, blue-collar jobs that people, not many people are getting these real-life skills that are going to be needed. Your roofers, your contractors, your builders, your AC repair people, heating and air conditioning, farmers. It's not going to be good here going down the road, because that's another thing that's going to make the cost of services expensive. If you only have one mechanic in town for a town of 100,000 people, that's not very good. There's going to be so much demand. So it's going to be very interesting. Like, we're headed into this time here that's unprecedented. We've never seen all the things coming together, like we're seeing now. We've never had a banking system that's been so leveraged, and that prices have been so elevated into bubble territory right now. And, there's no painless way out of this. I still think we're going to see emergency rate cuts probably here in just a few months. I think they're going to reverse course and do what people are calling the pivot. And they're going to pivot, and we're going to see this entire monetary system change. Ultimately, after the collapse and a lot of hardship and a lot of pain and depressionary types of things happening here, we're going to go back to real hard assets and sound money. The challenge: survive the downturn, survive the insanity, so we can make it on the other side here. So that's going to be the name of the game. Be careful out there. Things are going to get bad. Things are getting bad, and things are getting more dangerous all the time, especially in the cities. So be careful out there. Have your head on a swivel, eyes in the back of your head, so to speak. Always know your surroundings, and keep stacking and stay cautious on your spending, because like it or not, money is survival at this point. If you don't have money, you're going to be living in one of those tents, or living in someone's backyard, maybe in a camper, kind of like me 20 years ago, moving to San Diego, lived in my relatives' camper. So we'll do what we have to do to survive, but keep stacking, folks. Let me know what you think about this update, about this major contraction in deposits is going to lead to a credit crunch. And it's going to get very interesting, folks. We're going to wrap it up here. Keep stacking. Bye for now.